my problem with what they teach in schools. So, I didn't have the best time at school. I didn't have that many friends in school. I got bullied. I performed okay academically, like I did well at GCSE, and I kind of flopped my A levels, so I didn't really achieve my potential. I didn't go to Oxford or Cambridge, which was kind of the goal, really. My parents wanted me to go there. Maybe I could have got there, maybe not, if I had really knuckled down and worked harder and tried to achieve my potential. Maybe not. I guess we'll never know. I've realised that apart from biology, which I did at A level, I have not used a single thing that I've learned in school. I've learned some social skills, I learned a few lessons, I learned how cruel the world could be, I learned how horrible people could be. I learned how schools try and stamp out individuality, they put unnecessary pressure and can really affect the mental health of the boys who go to school. I mean, I went to an all-boys school, but I'm sure it's maybe slightly different from mixed school. I recently saw an article where the former UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya said that he would not send his children to a school. They would be homeschooled because he didn't feel like the school offers anything of worth. Like, it doesn't teach lessons that are worthwhile. And I agree with this to an extent. I feel like a school can teach your child some social skills. It can teach your child about the world, especially if they go to a mixed school where they get to interact with like the opposite sex, because I think that's really important because that is the world that we live in, as opposed to going to an all boys and all girls school, which isn't the real world, by the way, and I definitely wouldn't send my child to a single sex school. But my issue with school education, aside from the fact that hardly anything that they teach us is going to be useful in real life, and aside from the fact that they try and stamp out individuality, they want everyone to be and fulfill this stereotypical image of the model student and do what they say. My issue is that they try to stamp out entrepreneurship. I have a few stories, but one of them really sticks out to me. I remember back in school, there was this gentleman in my year, this guy in my year, and he wasn't the most academic guy. Like, he was intelligent, very intelligent. He could have been very academic if he wanted to. But he was very business minded and he loved to hustle. He was, the hustle guy. He was the hustle king. And I kind of wish I took a page out of his book earlier, and maybe I would be more successful in my business life. And I maybe should have asked him more questions. I wish I had this awakening earlier on, but you can't change the past. Anyway, this guy, he had a school shop. He would bring in a massive bag, a gym bag, which was really funny because he was the most unathletic guy. He would pretty much like fake being injured most of the year so he could avoid PE, but he'd always bring in his PE kit, which was a bit suspicious, but he got away with it. In his gym bag, he would have a supply of canned drinks, crisps, chocolates, sweets. He had his very own tuck shop in a bag. He'd sell things. And, of course, kids from the age of 11 to 14 love to eat sweets, things that they shouldn't be eating. I think at that time there was only one boy in our year who was a bit obsessed with fitness, and he would only eat carrots and hummus and healthy foods and chicken and rice. He would never eat McDonald's, but he was an anomaly. Everyone else would eat these sweet foods, right? So as you can probably imagine, the hustler kid made a killing. Now, when the school found out about this, they did two things. They confiscated his bag, his gym bag full of sweets and treats, and they suspended him for 2 days. Which, for those of you who don't know, a suspension is where you're not allowed to attend classes. You're either internally suspended, where you sit in a room for like 2 days and you have to do like stupid work that they give you, or you're externally suspended, where you're sent home for a set number of days. And apparently that's a punishment, but I don't think it is, to be fair. Like, getting to stay at home is not a punishment. This was the first example of where I noticed how the school was trying to discourage individuality, but also really trying to discourage entrepreneurship. They take us as individuals and they put us through this machine known as school, And when we come out, we're not individuals anymore, we're just like everyone else. They want us to get good grades, go to uni, go get a 9 to 5, and work 50, 60 years until 65, 70, and then we can retire with our pension when we have very little life left, and hopefully live for like 10, 15 years before we kick the bucket, so we don't have long to claim our pension. That is what schools teach us. They teach us and they sell us this 9 to 5 lie. Which, I have nothing against the 9 to 5. Like, if that is something that you want to do, then that's fine if you find purpose in that. But for me, I've realised that I've never felt accomplished in that. And the reason why I found it hard to stay in one job for more than a year is because I don't like working for people, and I really find it hard to respect authority. I don't like being told what to do. And so the school discouraged this hustler kid. And there were other examples of, where being a hustler, being an entrepreneur was discouraged. I was in a state boarding school, and this other guy, when I was in year 7, he was in year 10, and he had this shop in his room where he stocked up, again, canned drinks, crisps, sweets, chocolates, and he was selling them. And when the boarding house discovered that he was selling things, it was kept low-key. No one ratted him out, but they somehow found out about it. Maybe someone did rat him out. And so they confiscated all his stuff, and they wouldn't let him sell. Now, part of the reason why I think they discouraged these people from selling, particularly the first hustler kid that I talked about, was because he was undercutting the school tuck shop. So maybe he was taking business from them, and that's why they weren't happy. I realised how much they really try to discourage business owners. They notice how they never teach us how to run a business in school. Like, for the people that I know that studied business studies and economics, there was nothing useful in there of what they were learning. They weren't learning how to run a business. They were learning from a textbook. What would have been better is if they were learning from someone who actually had a business regarding how to run a business, instead it was just a textbook of people who probably never had their own business, and the people who were teaching them were teachers, which is nothing wrong with that, right? But the teachers didn't have their business. They were just economic teachers or business teachers. They weren't really business minded, they were academics. And so that's my problem with what they teach in schools. The fact that hardly anything that they taught me has been used in my life. They didn't teach me how to run a business. They discouraged individuality and actually entrepreneurship and hustle culture. And so I did contemplate not sending my future kids to school. I mean, I will send them to school, but I will say to them, play the game. Not everything that you will learn will be useful. So take what is useful and discard the rest, which is what Bruce Lee says. And I will teach them about entrepreneurship. Everything that I have learned, everything that I will be learning, everything that I still have to learn, that I will accumulate, I will teach my children. I'll teach my future children. I'll make sure they listen to business podcasts, because ultimately, if you want to live a life of financial freedom, it does not lie in working for someone else. It does not lie in academia. It does not lie in going to Oxford and Cambridge for some degree like history of art and then coming out and working in Amazon. You're not going to get anywhere from that. If I had a choice between dropping out of school at 16 and hustling and going into entrepreneurship, or doing everything that I was doing in academia and being delayed like 10 years, I would obviously choose the former option. We obviously can't change the past, but this is just something I want you guys to bear in mind. What is your school teaching you if you're still in school? If you're at an age where you've got children, what is the school teaching your children, and is it going to be useful for them to live a fulfilling life where they get to have freedom in their lives and don't have to work for people? I hope this video was useful for you, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.